ॐ शन्नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि घृतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 Now, let us look. There was one line of the Bhashya we had to differ for today, understanding the meaning. And let us go back to that so that it will be easy to move on. So, Brahma Vidya Phalam Cha Brahmavidah Yat Parabrahma Prapti Lakshanam Uktam. And so, that result which was talked about as as having the characteristic of Parabrahma Prapti, of the gain of the ultimate and something big, Brahman, as oneself, that which was talked about. What is that really speaking? Saha Sarvatma Bhavaha. Sarvatma Bhava means I am the Atma of everyone and everything. This is not gained by getting into other people's bodies. Okay, that's not the idea. And Sarvatma Bhava means being understanding the truth of oneself, so that one is able to see that there is no difference between oneself and another. It's not trying to enter other people's bodies, because even if you enter some other body, then you're not occupying your body. You have left your body and entered another body, like it is said Adi Shankara did once. Ubhaya Bharati, the wife of Mandana Mishra, challenged Adi Shankara to a vada, a debate. Why did she do that? Because she wanted to lose and become his shishya. That is why she wanted to lose. And she wanted to become his shishya, even though in those days women were not considered as shishyas, despite the fact that the Upanishads and even the Puranas have a rich history of Gargi, Maitreyi, and so many Jabala, so many Ghosha, all these rishis, female rishis in the Upanishads. Still, this is not something that was carried over, and so therefore this this whole thing, by the time this came along, it had changed. And so like this, we have this we have this tradition that when this like, even though we have who do we have? We have Maitreyi, Gargi, so many things. There are 27 rishis in the Vedas. 27 of them are there. And then we have that tradition of women sadhus, etc. But still, that had gone by the time Ubhaya Bharati's time. And so the husband was defeated in debate, and she also wanted to be defeated because she wanted to be the student. So then, when he took leave after defeating the husband, and she was very erudite, she was very, very knowledgeable. And in fact, she monitored the debate and she said, let me not be accused of partiality. And so I will have equal, beautiful garlands of equal length and put it on both the necks of the people who are debating. And then, whatever happens, whoever loses, their garland will start to wilt first. Then you know that they are losing, they have lost. How is this? What kind of a science is this? Well, in the middle of the argument, if you're losing, you get heated up, and then the body heat will wilt the garland quicker and dry it up, I suppose. And so then he took leave, and then she said, wait a minute, you haven't defeated me. And he knew the only one thing that she can ask that he could not answer in the current state was about conjugal relationships, etc. And because everything else, whatever she knew, he knew. And so then he supposedly left his body, asked the Shishyas to guard it, kept it in a cool cave, and then conveniently, there was a body of a dead king who was very, what should I say, who was very indulgent and had a huge, really huge harem. And then, so the dead king was being taken out in a procession, and Adi Shankara entered into that body, and then, revived. The king got revived, and so Adi Shankara then came back after he knew whatever he needed to know. He came back to his own body, which had been guarded, and kept in the cave. And then, cave means deep freeze in the ancient times. Okay, so and then he was then he came back. And so this is what is the this sarvatma bhava is not parakaya pravesha. It's not trying to jump out of oneself and go into something else. That's not the idea. It is because if you were to do that, then what would happen? You would not be occupying your body. You would just be occupying some other body, and then and you're not occupying your body. That's not Brahman, and neither is that Sarvatma. So the first definition, I mean, the first way in which we understand Brahma Prapti Phala is that it is Sarvatma Bhava. It is the Atma of everything. Atma means the self of everything. That which makes something what it is the Atma, and by extension we can say it is you. That is who. And so it's the first, the first thing he says about the result is Sarvatma Bhava. And then the second one, Sarva Samsara Dharmatita Brahma Swarupam Eva Na Anyat. So it is nothing other than that which has gone beyond samsara. So samsara dharma. If samsara had dharma, what would it look like here? It's not dharma, artha, kama. It's not righteous living. Okay. That's not what we are talking about. Dharma also is a word which means attributes. So what is samsara dharma here? Samsara dharma means taking crying all the time. Subjectivity. This is shobhana adhyasa, a powerful projection which is in the form of, oh, this is so good, this is so good, this is the real thing. And what is the real thing here? Coca-Cola. Okay, because that's how they advertise it. So this is a shobhana adhyasa, a very powerful. Shobhana means a positive projection. So there's a positive projection, and then very soon the positive projection turns into a negative projection. Ashobhana adhyasa. This is samsara. Samsara is adhyasa because your own subjectivity is layered onto the poor jagat, which is just minding its own business, and it simply is. And what is this jagat? Ishvara, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma, as we will see. And so this is all that is there is this jagat, and this one poor jagat is is so misunderstood. with all the projections, coming from various quarters. One has projections. And so this is samsara. And those projections are not just directed towards the Jagat, they are also directed towards oneself. I am an idiot, you know. Even though my name is Rama, I'll quickly answer if you call me idiot. Okay, this is this is what it is, and so this is these are all adhyasa centered on oneself. Adhyasa means a mistaken projection. So the I becomes a sitting duck for all kinds of projections because it is known but not known well enough to know what it really is. Just like a snake lying in twilight in your on your lawn. And then when you look at it in twilight on the lawn, there is no question of getting along with it. Okay. Yeah. So what do you have to do? Oh no, you run away. And then thankfully everybody has a cell phone. Why? Because it has a flashlight now. And then that flashlight, you shine the light. Oh, this is just a rope. That's why we have the word aropa. And so this is a rope which is mistaken for a snake. So the rope becomes the adhisthana, the truth of the snake. The atma of the snake is the rope, really. And so, therefore, over an unknown adhisthana, you cannot have a projection. That's why this example is always in twilight. Because over an unknown rope, you cannot see a snake. Unseen rope, unknown rope, you cannot see a snake because it is pitch dark. You don't neither see the rope nor see the snake. And supposing it is daylight and you know the rope as rope, will you still have aropa? No, because you know it as rope. So you cannot have an adhyasa over a known adhisthana. And you cannot have an adhyasa over an unknown adhisthana either. Because the adhisthana is not known at all, is unseen. The problem comes with this half-baked knowledge, which even in English we have a saying, half knowledge is something dangerous. Half knowledge is dangerous. This is the danger because the I is known, it is known well enough to make a mistake centered upon it. It is known well enough means because it cannot be unknown. It is self-evident. It is known without the need for a means of knowledge. It is self-evident. And so therefore it is known. And if it is known, it is somewhat known. That it is there, I am is known, but then the rest of it is not known. This is the problem. And because of this peculiar circumstance of this half known I, the I becomes a sitting duck for all kinds of misapprehension. In the first instance, when we talk about the unknown rope not lending itself to be looked at as a snake, this is what is called ajnanam. And you see this, whatever this symbolizes, you see it in the whole animal world, in the world of animals. They all do not know the I, and yet they appear to be happier than all the people, even, all the people, no matter how accomplished or how famous, because they don't know the truth of the self. And this ajnanam, the not knowing the adhisthana, not knowing the atma as the adhisthana of everything, doesn't cause problems. Really speaking, it doesn't cause problems. Ajnana is there. Dog doesn't know, oh, there is a spelling mistake in my name. Actually, I am God. It doesn't know. And still it goes on about its business. And it manages to be kinder than most human beings, sometimes, and more loyal also. And it is able to love unconditionally many times. So this is just ajnanam. Ajnanam, this is samanya for all the, for pashus and human beings. But then the human beings have the other part as well. The Atma is, because there is free will, the Atma is known, but not known as the Adhishthana of the whole entire universe. It is known, but it is known enough. And because there is free will, it is known enough to make a mistake centered on the I. I am a karta, very dangerous identification. I am a bhokta, I am a pramata, I'm a knower, I'm a thinker, I'm a doer, I'm a, this, I'm a that, so many things. I'm an officer. Where? Only in the office, okay? Yesterday's example showed. I'm a policeman. That's why your family is afraid of you, because you don't know when to stop, being a policeman. And I am this, I'm that. Yes, those are all roles. The roles cannot be mistaken for the person. And so, therefore, this mistake is called not just ajnanam, but ajnanam is there. But along with ajnanam, there is a twist, anyatha jnanam. Ajnanam and anyatha jnanam create this situation where one is forced to study the Upanishad and first to understand the truth of the self in this way alone, because one is in the peculiar situation of knowing the Atma but then not knowing it as the cause of the universe, as one with Ishvara. So therefore, right at the outset, the Upanishad says, what is the phala, what is the fruit of knowing this knowledge, what is the result of this knowledge? And then the result of the knowledge is one, Sarvatma Bhava. There is a sense of oneness and belonging with everything that we see, because the mithyatvam of those things is mm, front and center. It is clear. Everything is enjoying a dependent reality. I am the one who is self-reliant, self-evident, and independent of everything. And everything, in other words, depends on me in order to be identified, in order to be named, in order to be cognized. And I am self cognized. No other power in the world can cognize me. I'm not an object of anybody's cognition. This itself, this is how this is what is Sarvatma Bhava. Then the second fruit or the result of this knowledge is what we are talking about now. Sarva samsara dharmatita. Dharmatita. Atita means having transcended every single whiff of samsara. There is no whiff of samsara at all, even if you try to look for it. It has been banished by this knowledge. And the result of this knowledge is absence. Total absence of samsara dharma. Sarva samsara dharma, all kinds of samsara dharma. I'm a doer, I'm done in, I'm hurt, I'm guilty, this one was mean to me. Are you in grade school or what? Are you in elementary school? This one is mean to me, that one is upsetting me, and I don't like the thought of this one, I don't like that one, and I wish this was different, that was different. So this adhyasa, this kind of a projection is towards the world, towards other jivas, towards oneself, and the adhyasa is also directed towards Ishvara. Even towards Ishvara, there is the Shobhana Adhyasa and Ashobhana Adhyasa also. What is Shobhana Adhyasa? I went to the temple. Okay, then what happened? Oh, Bhagavan dropped a flower. And so we anthropomorphize Bhagavan. Oh, so that means I am good, I'm validated because Bhagavan dropped a flower. Fantastic. Next day, Bhagavan did not drop a flower. Then what? Come on, don't be so stingy. Drop a flower. I have made a wish. Drop a flower. Make it come true. Then if it is a home shrine, you help Bhagavan along by giving the giving the vigraha a little shake. Okay. And then the flower drops. Yeah, see, the flower has dropped. So this is even, the adhyasa is even focused on, centered on Bhagavan. This is true of in every religion, there is some concept of Bhagavan. God is good. This is a very popular concept of God. God is good means what? Good and bad is in your head, in your mind. What is good for you is bad for someone else. And what is bad for you may be good for someone else. God is good means what? And God only does good things. And then what? Something happens, a big tornado comes and takes away the roof, and then you have to bring in some other character called devil in order to explain the situation. We don't have that problem because of this here. Sarva samsara dharmatitah. This is a place of no dyads, no good, no bad, no opposites. And this is what Nachiketa asks Lord Yama. Anyatra dharmat, anyatra adharmat, anyatra asmat kritad akritat, anyatra bhutat cha bhavyat cha, yat pashyasi tad vada. Please tell me that which you see as being beyond the dyads, beyond these dichotomous dualities of good and bad, dharma, adharma, and kritam and akritam, punya, papa, all these things, and past and future and present, and all these divisions. Divisions of time, divisions of space, divisions of subjective, divisions of this, that, or the other. Remove all that. When you remove all that, is there something that which transcends everything? Yes, and that is what is called Brahman, and that is what is samsara dharmatita brahma, brahmano swarupam, brahmana swarupam. So this Brahman, this swarupa of Brahman is away from samsara. Why? Because samsara is in your head. All right, yeah. But then I thought Brahman is also recognized in my head. Yes, but samsara crowds out Brahman. So let samsara go. Let samsara, put samsara to rest, and then Brahman will naturally shine as you. And so therefore, sarva samsara dharmatita brahma swarupam eva. Na anyat, not anything else. Iti etat pradarshanaaya cha. In order to show this, esha rik udahriyate. Rik is feminine. So therefore, esha rik. Esha rik udahriyate. That's why it's udahriyate. And then the Upanishad, he quotes, the Upanishad says, Tad esha abhyukta. Esha rik abhyukta. This rig mantra. All the Upanishads are feminine. So the word Upanishad is feminine, rig is feminine. And so the rig mantra, udahriyate. Udahriyate means is used to illustrate what we are talking about. And then tadesha bhyukta iti. So in this manner, tat esha rik abhyukta. So this rig mantra is being presented. Why is it being presented? Because if the Upanishad wants to quote, it's not going to quote from Vayu Purana, okay? Because Puranas came later. It's not going to quote from some other, from Bhagavad Gita. It is only going to quote from some other Upanishad because these are the primary texts. And so, therefore, what? Then it says, Tat tasmin eva brahmana vakya ukte arthe esha rig abhyukta amnata. So tat tasmin eva. So this tat means what? This Brahman only. So Brahmana, the tat means in this tasmin eva, in this Upanishad, which is what? Brahmana Vakya Ukte Arthe. Brahmana Vakya means what? Not the Vakya uttered by a Brahmana. Okay, we have to be very careful when we what should I say? When we separate the compounds. Here it's not Brahmana Vakya, Kshatriya Vakya. It is Brahmana Upanishad means it is an Upanishad in the form of prose. There is no chandas. In prose, you can just talk. And so the whole Taittiriya Upanishad is Brahmana Upanishad. But then the quotation is in the form of mantra, which has its own meter and all these things. So Brahmana Vakya, what did it say? Yeah, Brahmana Vakya Ukte Arthe. So what did the prose say? The prose said, Brahmavid apnoti param. So that was the Brahmana Vakya. That was a prosaic sentence. And that prosaic sentence is now put in a form of a small little poem taken from the Rig mantra. So that same Ukta Artha, that same Ukta Vakya in the same meaning, to illustrate that and unpack that and unfold that, this Rig mantra is being offered. Satyam Jnanamanantam Brahma Yo Veda Nihitam Guhayam Parame Vyoman Soshnute Sarvan Kamaan Saha Brahmana Vipaschiteti. This is the mantra because it ends with iti. Iti is our quotation marks in Sanskritam. So this is what is being talked about. So we'll put a hold on the bhashya because this is a lot in terms of there's a lot to unpack here, and then the bhashya will help later on. But let us at least see what this Rig mantra is trying to say. So it gives a definition of Brahman, not a Visheshana as we saw yesterday. Why? Because the Visheshana, the job of the Visheshana is to separate things from its own class. So, Sarvebhyah Vishayebhyah Swajatiyebhyah Vishayebhyah Anyebhyah Vyavartakam Visheshanam. So the definition of the of adjective is that which separates other things from its own class, like Neelam Utpalam, Raktam Utpalam, blue lily, red lotus, etc., etc. So you get the idea. But then the lakshana is different. It is also a kind of visheshana, linguistically speaking, but it's got a different purpose because and then the definition of the lakshana. The lakshana of lakshana is already given here in point number 1. Sarvatah vyavritta swarupa vishesha samarpana samarthasya lakshanasya abhidhanena swarupa nirdharanam. So this we already saw. Sarvatah vyavrittah. Vyavritta swarupa. So this here, vyavritta means the distinguishing. So the distinguishing capacity is for from everything else. Why? Because there is no many kinds of Brahman. Just like there are many lotuses. So you have to say, Nilotpalam anaya. Bring me the blue lotus, blue lily. Why? Because there are white lilies in the lake. There are yellow lilies. There are pitotpala. Is there nilotpala? Is there raktotpala? Is there shuklotpala? Is there white lily, yellow lily, red lily, pink lily? All these lilies are there. I don't want any of them. Please bring me blue lily. That's why the distinction is needing to be made. But Brahman cannot be understood like that. Bring me nice Brahman. Is there not nice Brahman? Only then this adjective is needed. Bring me a very comforting Brahman. What do you mean comforting Brahman? There is no discomforting Brahman to begin with. There is only one Brahman. And so here is here presents a difficulty for the adjective, because the adjective is of no use here. The adjective has no purpose whatsoever. Therefore, we have to bring in a specific kind of adjective called lakshana. The regular adjective of blue lily, big lily, mahad utpalam, sugandhi utpalam, neelam utpalam. All these things will not work. So we are not talking about any kind of we are absolutely not talking about this kind of a distinction, because there is nothing to distinguish it from anything else. Yet it needs to be defined, because we saw earlier, even though it is oneself, one does not recognize it for want of a means of knowledge. One does not recognize it at all. So, since Brahman is not recognized, and yet it needs to be defined in order to be recognized, so therefore, therefore this has to be properly understood, and therefore we need the words Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. What are these words? These words are in apposition to one another, not opposition. Okay, apposition. Apposition, in the sense that all of them are they are what is that prathama vibhakti. They are all the first case, nominative case. And what is the nominative case? Karta. Karta means they are in the place of the agent. Prathama vibhakti, neuter, singular. So they, in other words, they all agree in gender, case, and number. Just as they function in the same way as the Visheshana. If you're trying to use an adjective, they should also agree with the substantive, with the noun that it is qualified. They should also agree in gender, case, and number. This is the beauty of Sanskrit. That's why when the Sanskrit poetry, in Kalidasa, etc., the adjective can be in line 1 and the substantive can be in the fourth pada. It can be in line 4 without losing the sense of it at all. Not so in English. Not like that at all. So supposing, if you translate something like that, if you put something, if it is vyavahita, it is separated from the substantive, the adjective will make no sense. Like Rama gave big Lakshmana a bow. Does this make any sense? Where did this suddenly big Lakshmana come from? And where we never have heard anywhere in the Ramayana that Lakshmana was big in size. No, 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 no. The big is qualifying the bow. I thought I will write a poem in English following the Sanskrit norms. Not possible. Not possible. But in Sanskrit, it is in Sanskritam, it is possible, because the word big and the word bow will be in apposition. This is something which is fantastic. And so therefore these words are in apposition. And if the words are apposition, the Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, then then there is it answers the expectancy created. And what is the expectancy created? What is this Brahman? Because we have to know what this Brahman is. And so therefore this jignasa to know Brahman is created, and that jignasa, that desire to know Brahman, is fulfilled by this mantra Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. This is what it is. And so therefore what? So therefore Therefore, Bhashyakara says, Tasmin eva Brahmana Vakya Uktarthe. So the same thing that the prose said is going to be talked about in detail in the mantra also. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma iti. Okay. So then here is this sentence, and we know that this is Brahmanaha Lakshanartham Vakyam. Brahmanaha Lakshanartham Vakyam. We know this, that this is a sentence for whose purpose this quotation is, the purpose of this quotation is to give you the definition of Brahman. And so, what kind of lakshana? Lakshana means there are different kinds of lakshanas. And especially when we talk about the lakshana of Brahman, then there are two primary kinds of lakshana. What are they?
Tatastha Lakshana and Swarupa. Swarupa Lakshana and Tatastha Lakshana.
Swarupa Lakshana. Or we can say take Swarupa first, Swarupa Lakshana and Tatastha Lakshana. Two kinds of Lakshana. The Swarupa Lakshana is defined by the words Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, and then the Tatastha Lakshana is talked about in the Bhrigu. Even here it's talked about, but in the Bhrigu it is talked about how, from which everything has emerged, that by which everything is sustained, and that unto which everything resolves. This is Brahman. So Tatastha Lakshana means it's like supposing you have a friend called Devadatta. So then, here using Devadatta, we can illustrate Swarupa and Tatastha Lakshana. So, if you want to define Devadatta, then this is of course on the empirical level. So, if you want to define Devadatta, don't try and tell me, oh, he is also Satyam Jnanam Anantam. That's not the point here. So, if you want to define Devadatta, and if you say, oh, he is the mayor of such and such a town, or the sheriff of such and such a town, he won't be mayor forever. The next time he stands for election, he may lose. He may not be there at all. He may not come back, or he may resign, or this is just a upadhi definition from the standpoint of his office. Okay. But who is really Devadatta? Then, if you want to recognize the Devadatta going on the street, you have to say, okay, he is 180 kilos. Or maybe 200 kilos. Why is he so big? Because he's a wrestler. He's a pailwan. He's a wrestler. And this is what he does. So this is how he looks. So you have to do, this is Swarupa Lakshana. But the fact of him holding a particular office, that could be Tatastha Lakshana. Because it comes and it goes. It is also a definition of Devadatta. Devadatta, the corporator. Devadatta, the official. Devadatta, the congressman. You can have so many definitions based on the occupation, and that's all. That's all okay. But then that occupation is not forever, and so therefore Tatastha Lakshana means inherent. It's not an inherent definition. It's an incidental definition. So there is this fellow called Devadatta who is right now occupying the kursi. Kursi means chair, and the chair of this particular office. So this is Tatastha Lakshana, whereas Devadatta, 200 kilos and eating lots of ghee, etc. This is what is called Swarupa Lakshana from the standpoint of the empirical reality. We are not talking of, the transcendental reality at all. So these two kinds of lakshanas are there. And then Satyam Jnanam Anantam is inherent and intrinsic to the understanding of Brahman. Because without Satyam, there is no Brahman. Without Jnanam, and we'll see what these are, there is no Brahman. And without Anantam, also there is no Brahman. So then This becomes Swarupa Lakshana, a definition of the nature of Brahman, which is, which is defined as that which exists, Satyam, and that which is evident, Jnanam, that which is knowable, Jnanam, that which is in the form of awareness, consciousness, Jnanam. And how long does Satyam and Jnanam, how long does it last? How long do they last? Anantam, that which is forever, which means it was never created. That uncreated infinitude is Anantam, and that Anantam which is forever and which is the one without which it cannot be. So that is what Satyam Jnanam Anantam. This is what it is. Very, very beautiful. And so this is, and we'll see the meanings of this later. And then so this is the Swarupa Lakshana. And because the Swarupa of Brahman, the nature of Brahman, without these words, without the meaning of these words, that there is no Brahman. Therefore, this Lakshana reveals Brahman. Brahmana lakshanartham vakyam. Then again, then again it is told that this Brahman has to be known as oneself. Pratyagatmataya. This is how it should be understood. It has to be known by oneself, as oneself. Because why? There is no other way to know it. Simple. There is no other way to know it. How else can you know it? If you know it as an object, it's like our student in the Kenopanishad, who says, I know Brahman very well. Teacher, pick me. Me. And the teacher picks. And then what happens, And the teacher says, sit down, because your knowledge of Brahman is like some, what is that called? Is like a piece of dust. You don't know anything. So you cannot know it as an object at all. Why? Because it is not an object. But it is Satyam. Satyam means, Sat means to exist. It is existent Brahman. Thank God, because it would be, already it is difficult to talk about Brahman. Supposing it was Asat Brahman, Asat Brahman, non-existent Brahman, then think of how much more difficult it would be to talk about. so, so therefore, here it is existent. We know it is existent, and then we know that it is sentient, it is conscious. In fact, we can say it is consciousness, and it is forever. So, in fact, the words Satyam Jnanam Anantam, they are a Mahavakya. Mahavakya means that which brings that which reveals the Aikya, oneness between Ishvara and Jiva. That is what is called a Mahavakya. That which brings out or reveals the oneness of the Jiva with Ishvara is Mahavakya. Ayyo, where is Ishvara? Where is Jiva in this Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam? In the word Jnanam, the Jiva quietly walks in when no one is looking. That's why this is a kind of a Gudha Abhisandhi, because it is not, it is not, what's the word for it? It's not very, it's not fully recognized. It's not easy to recognize. And so therefore, jnana means what? Consciousness, awareness. Are you aware? I don't know. You can't say that. Yes. Are you here? Yes. How do you know you're here? I know I am. I know I exist. This is awareness. I'm aware of my own existence, and I'm aware of the existence of everybody else and everything else. This is awareness. So then when you reduce the body mind sense complex, when you etc., when you remove cognitively, and when you reduce the I to its essential denominator, its essence, all that is there is awareness. Awareness plus a body, awareness plus a mind, awareness plus a whole lot of complaints make up this jiva. That's all there is to say. Whole lot of complaints with this awareness. And then the only solace is, yes, I'm aware of the complaints. You can say that. And that's good because that becomes a place to drop those complaints. So the jiva is just awareness. When you say, I am, and I know I am, that's awareness. And so then, are you Sat? Yes, I'm Sat because I'm existent. And this forever business, are you Ananta? The answer will always be no, because that is a little more removed from the gamut of one's experience. But still, that also can be illustrated. That also can be understood. How? Are you here? Yes. Are you here now? Yes. Are you here now? Yes. How about now? And then you keep asking now, now, now. How long is now? If we take a measuring tape and try to measure now, now slips away. Now resolves into you. Now is timeless. Now is endless. A series of nows. Now, 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 now. And it's all just, it transcends time. And so this Satyam, that, we know now Brahman is something that exists, and that existence cannot be outside of you. So you exist, Brahman exists already. Brahman here is Jagat Karanam Brahman. It's Ishvara. So Ishvarasya Swarupa Lakshana we are seeing. The essential nature of Ishvara is the unchanging nature of Ishvara we are looking at. And then, surprise, surprise, it includes you. Ishvara's existence is not outside of your existence. It's the same existence. And that which is the intelligence of Ishvara is just your own awareness. It's the same awareness. And the Anantya of Ishvara is also the Anantya of you, not of the body, mind, sense complex, but that which obtains as the indweller. It's Ananta. Even if you take it as a simple jiva, it is Ananta. Jiva is Anadi. And so even if you take it as a simple jiva, it doesn't get destroyed. It goes on taking new forms. Why? Because the truth of the jiva is Ishvara. That's why. And so therefore, even if you take it as a simple jiva, you can say it endlessly goes on assuming various forms because of karma and because of ajnanam. This is what we can say. And so therefore it's a Mahavakya which not many people recognize. And we'll be seeing this more in this thing, more in detail. So Mahavakya means Akhandarthaka Bodhaka Vakya. We'll see that more. But now let's come back to this Lakshanartha and then this Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, which is what we have to understand. And then how to understand this? Then here, as I said, they are all in apposition. Each word is singular, neuter gender, prathama vibhakti. First case, nominative, singular, neuter. And what are they qualifying as it were? They are qualifying as it were these words, Satyam Jnanam Anantam. What are they qualifying? They are qualifying Brahman, which is also neuter. So this is what is called Samana Vibhakti, because it's the same in gender, in number, and in case, in the Vibhakti. And so the technical term is Samanadhikaranyam. Samanadhikaranyam. Meaning, there is it's a technical word, Samanadhikaranyam. And what is this Samanadhikaranyam? Because there is what is that? Bhinna pravritti nimittana ekasmin vishaye tatparyam. That is what is called Samanadhikaranyam. Like, for example, I'll explain that. Like, for example, Neelam Utpalam. There is Padanam Samanadhikaranyam. As far as the words are there, they are in apposition. And supposing we add few more adjectives. Neelam, Mahat, Sugandhi, Utpalam. Blue, big, fragrant, lily. So, blue, big, and fragrant are what is called linguistic samanadhikaranyam, padanam samanadhikaranyam. And padarthanam, and the meaning of the word will be in visheshana, visheshya sambandha. Visheshya, visheshana, bhava. So, what is visheshya? The utpala. And what is the visheshana? What are the visheshanas? Neelam, Mahat, Sugandhi. These are the things. This is how to look at it. So what is defined and then what is illustrated? Blue, big, and then fragrant are the adjectives. Blue, big, and fragrant are the adjectives, and then the utpala, the lily or the lotus, is the visheshya. This is what it is. Same thing if you say, Nilo Ghataha, blue pot. Then both the words have got the same vibhakti, and then the Ghata is the substantive because the blueness of this pot distinguishes it from all other pots. So therefore, in this Visheshana, and we have to be, it has to be very clear what is the substantive and what is the Visheshana. And so therefore, this Visheshana Visheshya Bhava Sambandha is there. Padarthanam, Padanam Samanadhikaranyam, and then Padanam means from the standpoint of the words, there is apposition, and from the standpoint of the meaning of the words, there is Visheshana Visheshya Bhava Sambandha. In other words, one is substantive, and all the other words become adjectival to that word. We have to understand that. And so here, the adjective doesn't work for Brahman, we have already said. But so what kind of an adjective it is? It is not a qualifying adjective. It is more of a lakshana. It is more of a lakshana which defines the object. This lakshana visheshanam it is, and which defines the object and which fits only to the substantive and not any other word. This is what it is. Like I explained it yesterday from the standpoint of a custom made gown. So you or some kind of a Oscar worthy Oscar what is that, some Academy Awards. So the Academy Award worthy outfit, like for example tuxedo, some kind of a gown. It should be form fitting, it should be properly tailored, and it should fit only that person who is wearing it, nobody else. Whereas pajama, this is loosey goosey, it doesn't matter. One size fits all. But the Lakshana cannot be like a pajama. Otherwise, it will have the doshas of ativyapti or avyapti. These are all problems. What is ativyapti? Ativyapti means it is available to everything. Like yesterday, we gave the example a human being. What is a human being? Anything that is two legged. Here we have ativyapti. That which has two legs is a, is a human being. Then we are in trouble. because the bird is also a human being then. Anything that has two legs is a human being. And then again, it is ativyapti also because, if supposing somebody loses one leg, then you can go and tell them you're not a human being. This is only for human beings. What are you doing here? And so this is what is called ativyapti dosha. Or it could be avyapti dosha. Avyapti means it is inadequate. It falls short of the definition. It is either, it is ativyapti means it overreaches, or it is inadequate. Avyapti means it's inadequate. Can't think of an example right now, but you get the idea. It is inadequate. So lakshana means it should fit properly. Like, for example, we have a lakshana for meditation. Saguna Brahma Vishaya Manasa Vyaparaha. This is the Lakshana of meditation. Manasa Vyapara, mental activity, for which the subject matter Vishaya is Sagunam Brahma, Ishvara. Mental activity for which the topic or the subject matter is Ishvara. This is a very nice, it fits the definition of meditation like a very nice glove, very form fitting. But if somebody were to say, why should I say the whole thing? Why can't I just say Manasa Vyapara is meditation? Then what? Each time you are chafing inside and having terrible thoughts, that's also meditation. Each time you worry, that is also meditation. Each time you blame somebody in your mind or blame yourself, that is also considered dhyanam. No. That's why all the aspects are taken care of. And so the Lakshana neither overreaches nor underperforms. And it only fits that particular thing, which is vivakshita, which is needing to be talked about, which is under discussion. And so it should not overreach and it should not fall short. That is basically, that is what is a perfect lakshana, which fits very very well. It should be a clean fitting definition. This is the beauty of lakshana. And then, this is the um, uh, so here in this, when we say satyam jnanam anantam, satyam jnanam anantam brahma, which are the lakshanas and which is the substantive. So we can say, okay, Brahman is the substantive and Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam are the words, the qualifying words or the defining words. Really, because there is there is a non-separation between Brahman and its definition. Then you can say, the Brahman is that which is Satyam, or you can say Satyam is that which is Brahma. Either way it goes. And so therefore, in this matter, it doesn't matter here where what kind, which is the substantive and which is this. So this is what is achieved by the samanadhikaranyam, because it gives us some way in which to understand what is being explained, defined, qualified. So the definition of Samanadhikaranya is what I said earlier. Bhinna pravritti nimittanam samana vibhaktikanam padanam ekasmin vishaye adhikarane tatparyam. This is Samanadhi. This is the Lakshana of Samanadhikaranyam. So bhinna pravritti nimittana means, bhinna arthana. That's what it means. In other words, the words that are used for revealing different meanings about that same substantive. So you can't simply say, for example, Satyam, Satyam, Satyam Brahma. It will not make any difference. It'll be just like saying Neelam, 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 Utpalam. That also doesn't make any sense. And so each word has its own meaning. So there is this bhinna pravritti is there. And then, so the three, so if there's no need to repeat Neelam, Neelam, Neelam 3 times. Therefore, the 3 words, Neelam, Mahat, Sugandhi Utpalam. Blue, big, fragrant lily, it's there. Why three words? Because the person who is talking about this wants to distinguish the blue lily from all other lilies, wants to distinguish the big blue lily from other big lilies, and wants to distinguish the fragrant big blue lily from other lilies that may be big, that may be blue, but are certainly not fragrant. So bhinna pravritti nimittanam, and then samana vibhaktikanam. The samana vibhakti is there, same vibhakti is there. That's how it can become the visheshana for the visheshya. And then so then the samana between the visheshana and visheshya, both of them should enjoy this same case. Samana vibhaktikatvam. It should enjoy. And so therefore ekasmin vishaye tatparya. Ekasmin, vishaye tatparya. Meaning it should ekasmin adhikarane. It should have, it should refer to that in the same place. Supposing we say Ramah Dasharathim, what? Uvacha. Rama said, and then Dasharathim. And then, is this Samanadhikaranyam? No. Why? The Dasharathi is Dasharatha's son. Dasharathasya apatyam puman. Dasharathi. So Dasharathi is Dasharatha's son. So Rama talked to Dasharatha's son means what? Who did he talk to? Not himself, okay? He talked to maybe Bharata, maybe Lakshana, whoever he was, Lakshmana, whoever he was talking to. So bhinna pravritti is there, but then samana vibhakti is not there. Even though both are masculine in gender, it is not samanadhikaranyam. So this is something we have to understand. Now you can see what samanadhikaranyam is. And so therefore what? They should agree in gender, case, number. They should agree. And when they agree, then it is called samanadhikaranya. So, and this is, that's why I said it is a special feature in Sanskrit, this samanadhikaranyam. Otherwise, in English, we will just, we will put the, since there are no cases and no agreement, then we can say Rama gave big Lakshmana a bow. So, whereas in Sanskritam, the word big can be anywhere in the sentence, and it is recognized because it is agreeing with the word bow. So therefore we don't have to take the trouble to place it right next to the substantive. Okay, and so therefore what? So this is the it is the swarupa lakshana, and each word has something to give. Each word has something to define. It lends itself to defining Brahman from a particular standpoint. And that standpoint is very important because then at the end of understanding Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, then you understand, you have a fully rounded understanding of this Brahman as non-separate from yourself. That is the idea. Pratyagatmataya. That's what we have to understand it as the truth of oneself. And so Satyam means, see here, when you want to know something that you don't know at all, let's say this Brahman is unknown because it is Shastra Vedya. It is to be known by the Shastra. This Brahman I do not know. How will somebody go about explaining Brahman? You can't use words that people don't know. You can't say Brahman is and some gobbledygook. You can't stop talking in tongues and then say expect the other person to understand. This is not going to work. And again, you cannot use known words because the known words in the grammar have been co-opted by the people because of certain usages over time. Certain words are co-opted. All the words are co-opted. Because as soon as I say a word, that arthaspuranam that takes place, when that word gives a meaning that is born in the head, that is already affected by one's culture, by the collectivity of how the language is used, and by, there are so many problems with it. In other words, the language that we have is extremely subjective. It's a subjective language. It's all already coming within the purview of something which is there. Like, for example, nobody understands anantyam. And if you try to literally translate it, endlessness, anantyam, anta, end, ananta, endless, anantyam, endlessness. In other words, limitlessness. Nobody understands limitlessness. What is this limitlessness? It sounds like a nice word, but nobody understands it. Satyam, existence. What is existence? Everything exists until it doesn't. Our understanding of that which exists is naturally time bound. This is the problem of language. This is the problem of this collective jnanam that we have, which is, ajnanena avritam. Ajnanenavritam jnanam tena muhyanti jantavah. The Bhagavad Gita says. People get deluded by this so-called jnanam that is wrapped in the tissue paper of ajnanam. What is the use? So therefore, our language is itself a demonstration of the ajnanam that one suffers from. That's why the word atma declines. Atma, atmanav, atmanah. One atma, two atmas, and then more than two atmas. Why? For that matter, even Brahman declines. Brahma, Brahmani, Brahmani. That also declines. And this is what it is. And so how to explain to a lay person, because you cannot use words from Mars, you cannot use words from some foreign language. That makes no sense, because how will they understand? They will not understand. And you can't also use known words, because you can't use known words because they are already subject to vagueness, error, and doubt. They're coming under the spell of everything that is finite. They're subject to a lot of vagueness. One person, especially like a young person, will say, "I have been waiting for you for an eternity," and it's only been half an hour, time-wise, okay? But for them, that is eternity. So the concept of eternity is a long time in time. Concept of existence is again in time something dies away, in time something is born, in time it is, it's all in time. So one is unable to transcend time, even to accept these definitions, even to be enlightened by these definitions, even to know Brahman pratyagatmataya. How is that possible? Therefore, the Upanishad comes with a very unique methodology to use the what is called bhave prayoga, to use the abstract nouns, to use the nouns in the abstract sense. And Adi Shankara in the Bhashya will call it bhava sadhana. Bhava sadhana is bhave prayoga. So what is this bhave prayoga? It's like a impersonal voice, so to speak. Like passive voice, active voice, we have one more. Impersonal voice means it's an abstract voice. How? Like take the word satyam. Satyam is here means that which exists. And we know of nothing that transcends time. We don't know. It is outside of the range of our experience. It's outside of the gamut of our understanding. How do you understand something that is outside of time? Not possible at all. So, therefore, the word exist is used in the abstract sense of existence, an abstract noun. In English also we have abstract noun, human, humanness, like that, kind, kindness. And so here existence is an abstract noun where one removes the limitations associated with existence in the mind, such as what? Time and space. One cognitively removes, retaining that bhava sadhana, retaining the word existence after scrubbing it off of the time space matrix. Any kind of temporal or spatial influences, they are taken away in this discussion. Jnanam, again, another example, jnanam. And jnanam, again, this we'll be studying in detail, but this is just an appetizer to show you how this lakshana is working. Jnanam, jna plus a suffix called lut, which changes into anam. Jna plus anam, jnanam. And what is this anam? This anam is the most, vague suffix. It can refer to the jnata, it can refer to the knower, it can refer to the object of knowledge, it can also refer to the means of knowledge. It is purposefully vague because Brahman is neither the knower, nor the known, nor the means of knowledge. But in order to be Brahman, it is everything. The means of knowledge is not outside of Brahman. The knower is not outside of Brahman. And that which is known, the object of knowledge, is also not outside of Brahman. Brahman is outside of everything else. That is how this beauty of this word jnanam, the consciousness, whenever you put ness, it becomes an abstract noun. Limitlessness. How long does this consciousness exist? Limitlessly. How long does this existence, how long is this existence conscious? Limitlessly. Limitless satyam, limitless jnanam. And so, in this way, it is communicated. Not because of us, but despite ourselves, we can say. It's not because there is no credit we can take. It is despite oneself that this knowledge is communicated. Somehow, through the so many prakriyas, which we'll be seeing next time. Here, what is used is karana karya prakriya, cause effect, pedagogy. And then through that, it is driven through all our thick heads what this Brahman is, because that Brahman ultimately rests on you. That definition of Brahman rests on you. It is known as yourself alone, not as anything else. More we'll see next time. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you.